15 years ago, I was dead broke. I had just closed a business. I was behind on my rent. The utility company was calling me, trying to turn off my power. And then I made 3 changes in my life and everything started to change. And 5 years later, I bought the house that I'm sitting in today. I've since bought a vacation home. I probably poured at least $250,000 in renovating the house that I'm sitting in. I've bought expensive cars, expensive watches, all this stupid shit that I didn't need. But I have more money saved up today than probably any time I've ever had in my life. And I know that if you make these 3 transformations that I made 15 years ago, if you make them in 2025, your financial future is going to shine like never before. So let's get into it. So the first thing I did, and I remember this vividly, is I started saving money every single week. It sounds really simple, but let me get into it. So even if you're broke, in fact, if you are broke or you don't have a lot of money saved up, this is the most important thing you can do, is you can start saving money every single week. Now, I don't mean saving money in a checking account or a savings account or your SoFi account. No, because then there's no friction between you and actually spending that money. You need to deposit this money weekly into a brokerage account, a Robinhood account, a Charles Schwab account, E-Trade. I don't care. None of them pay me any money, but set up a brokerage account and start depositing money into that account every single week. Now, a couple of different things and a couple of reasons why you need to do this weekly. First of all, it creates the habit of good investing. Okay, most people have the false belief that they'll begin to save and be financially responsible once they get a job, once they start making money. This is one of the dumbest things that I've ever heard. In fact, it's like saying, oh, I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to get buff after I get fat. Nobody would say that, but it's exactly like saying you'll actually get financially responsible after you actually get money. And so this is not only just stupid, but there is a lot of evidence that it actually is the wrong mindset and it doesn't work. Something like 60% of all NBA basketball players, after they make millions of dollars, declare for bankruptcy. Okay, I think it's like a third of all lottery jackpot winners end up declaring bankruptcy just a couple of years later because they didn't have good financial habits before, and money just doesn't change that. So you need to start saving money today, regardless of how much money you have. And so I remember 15 years ago, I was dead broke, and I said, I need to start saving money. I need to start changing the habits and the way I treat money. So I set up an automatic deposit of $1 every single week. And at that time, it was into a ShareBuilder account. ShareBuilder at the time was kind of the lowest cost brokerage. Now everybody doesn't charge a commission fee, so you can go with any single one of them. But at the time, it was ShareBuilder. So I set up a $1 deposit every single week. And I remember there was this one Thursday, and I logged into my bank account, and I noticed I actually had less than $1. When I tell you I was broke, I was broke. I had less than $1 in my bank account. And I said, oh crap, tomorrow, this $1 deposit's going to come out. So what did I do? Did I cancel the deposit at ShareBuilder? Absolutely not. I actually scurried around my apartment, found some loose change, got $1.50, $2 in change, and I didn't have a car. I couldn't afford gas even if I had a car. I walked over 4 miles to the bank, deposited the $1.50 that I had in my pocket. They probably thought I was an idiot. The teller probably thought I was a loser, but I didn't care. I deposited the money in the bank account, and that $1 weekly deposit ended up going through, and I never missed one of those deposits. So you need to do this if you are broke. You need to create the habit of investing. And look, if you start with $1, eventually things started turning around for me. I'll get to that in a minute, but things financially started turning around for me. $1 turned into $10 a week. Then it turned into 50. Then it turned into 100, 250, $500. You get the idea. You start with $1, and some of you might already be at $50, $100. It's at the beginning of the year. Let's bump that up. Let's pause the video. Go to your Schwab account, go to your Robinhood account, and bump that weekly deposit up every single year. You should be doing that. Now, the next thing that you need to do, and this is exactly what I did, is you need to start paying attention to money. Start caring about money. So what do I mean by this? I'm not talking about get your Robinhood account and check every 30 minutes the price of Bitcoin or the price of Palantir stock. That's stupid. Don't do it. Okay. Instead, every single day, you need to stop paying attention to the stuff that's entertaining you and distracting you from making more money. For me, it was like 15 years ago, I would wake up, I would watch Sports Center when that was like actually worth watching. I would check probably the waiver wire or who got injured in the NFL for my fantasy football team. I might even check the box scores in the NBA. And today it might be for a lot of you scrolling through your Instagram feed and seeing the cute girl or the kitty picture or the funny meme that's going around. None of that makes you a dime today. So instead of doing any of that, I started watching Bloomberg every single day. Instead of turning on Sports Center first thing in the morning, I actually started streaming Bloomberg because it was free. And again, I was broke. Every single day, I would turn on Bloomberg. In fact, I got to the habit where I never even turned it off. 24 hours a day, I was streaming Bloomberg on my computer, engaging and consuming financial content. Now, I also dropped out of all my fantasy football contests. I haven't played fantasy football in well over a decade. Haven't played in fantasy basketball. I couldn't tell you who the starting five on the Los Angeles Lakers are. I don't know who's going to bat lead off next year for the San Francisco Giants. And eventually what I started to do on my phone is I put limits on apps like Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. I have a 5-minute limit per day for those apps. Now, look, if your family's on there and you're engaged in a conversation, or you've got something going viral, or there's an exciting news event, well, yeah, you might go over your 5-minute limit. But on a daily basis, I spend no more than 5 minutes on any of these social media sites. And eventually, look, instead of knowing who the backup point guard on the Lakers was, I knew the gross margins of NVIDIA. I knew the revenue growth rate of Apple and Amazon. And once I did that, once I stopped caring about this stuff that didn't do anything for me financially, I started making a lot more money. The best thing is, today there's a lot more. 15 years ago, there was a decent amount of financial content. Now there's way more. You've got podcasts, you've got YouTube, you've got CNBC and Bloomberg and all these stations out there, and you can learn and grow by surrounding yourself in the world of finance. So remember, you are a product of your surroundings, okay? If you surround yourself with a bunch of really healthy people that are working out, that's probably going to rub off on you, and you're probably going to start working out. The same thing is true in finance. If you surround yourself with 5 broke people, guarantee you're going to be the 6th. So this is why you need to surround yourself every day with daily consumption of financial news content. Eventually, you'll start picking this stuff up, and it'll turn your life around. Now, the last thing is probably the most important thing. And this is what turned my life around the most, is the absolute number one way I did that was I tried to add a new skill to my life every single year. Back 15 years ago, I had just kind of gotten out of college and business school, and I knew a little bit about marketing and finance and e-commerce and running an eBay store and running a physical store. But it turns out I had a lot more to learn. So I learned how to code computers. I learned SEO and how to advertise on Google. This was relatively new at the time. I started a podcast. Now, everybody has a podcast these days, but 15 years ago, almost nobody knew what that was. So I started a podcast 15 years ago. And of course, I taught myself finance by reading financial documents, by listening to conference calls, even of companies that I wasn't even investing in. And I consumed as much financial media as I possibly could. All of this culminated in me having probably slightly above average communication skills. That was through really the podcast. And I've made millions of dollars off of website and affiliate programs and Google AdSense and here on YouTube, and really through lots of online marketing stuff. And of course, I created the habit of saving more and more money. As I started making more money, I started with $1 when I was broke. But when the money started rolling in, I bumped up my weekly savings and I saved up a lot. And this is the most important thing of the whole video. And if you made it through this part of the video, you're certainly a part of the 1% out there that really want to change your life financially. And here's the key secret to all of this. The best thing that has ever happened to me in my life was the birth of both of my 2 sons. And when my first one was born about 7 or 8 years ago, instead of worrying about how I was going to provide for him, or how many hours I was going to have to put in to pay the mortgage, and then to pay for preschool, and to pay for daycare, and to pay for diapers and all this stuff, I didn't have to worry about any of that. In fact, I actually took off the first 5, 6, 7 years of both of my sons' life here on earth and really didn't work at all. I posted some videos here on YouTube, making a couple of bucks, but I pretty much spent every single waking hour with my kids the first 4 or 5 years of our life. And that's really what this video is all about. Look, money is great, okay? Over the past 15 years, I've bought multiple Mercedes-Benz cars, I've bought multiple Tesla vehicles, I've bought multiple Rolex watches, I've bought multiple houses. And this is great, it's fun, it's a product of skill and a product of hard work, but it doesn't make you happy. What money and saving and learning about finance really brought me over the past 15 years was those first 5 years of my son's life. It brought me so much time with them, and that is time you simply can't get back. So a year from now, as we sit here on the beginning of 2025, as we sit here a year from now, if you look back on 2025, I'm certain if you take these 3 steps, it'll be the best year financially for you. So have the discipline to save money every single week, entertain and kind of surround yourself in finance and people that care about money. Again, you're the product of who you surround yourself with, and expand your skills and your knowledge. Learn something new every single week, every single month, read some new books, take a course, do those types of things. And certainly here on the Investor Channel, we'll be here to help you, guide you through it all. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful new year, and we'll see you again in 2025.